So they film Zarqawi cutting his head off. So that was, we just got in the country. I think it was the day that we got in the country. There was a vehicle patrol that was out, Army patrol, and they find his body. His head cut off, and they had dressed him it was kind of in response to the Abu G stuff. So he was like in a orange jumpsuit like the prisoners were there. No head, just fucking laying there on an overpass. So we'd been there in town for not long, and we got, I think it was intel that we, again, one of the guys got during interrogation. They're like, hey, I know one of the guys that's responsible for this. So we were like, yeah, let's go get this guy. So we went like 2 a.m, go to his house, a second floor apartment. We hit it, and there's just stacks of DVDs of the head getting cut off. This guy was making copies, but there was also a bag of the bloody clothes that the dude had been wearing. So we grabbed this guy, and he's pretty obviously one of the guys involved. So that was like incredibly rewarding, to get him. And then,
do you know what happened to him?
No, we handed him off, and so the Nick Berg guy, though, the more I was, while I was writing the book, I went, trying to research and make sure that I knew what I was talking about. What was, post 9/11, he was interviewed because there was an email sent from his computer, to one of the 9/11 terrorists. And when he was questioned about it, like the FBI shows up at his house, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I was riding a bus while I was in college, and this dude just like, hey man, can I borrow your computer to send an email?" And that's what he credited it to. And maybe that that just seems very odd. Yeah. Right. I don't think I would let some random dude on a computer or on the bus borrow my computer to send an email. Yeah. But I'm not I don't know. So there was kind of questions around that guy, but that was memorable. There were 2 HVTs that we were tracking for kind of an extended period of time, like throughout the entire deployment, that we wound up catching both of them, which was memorable. Obviously, that was rewarding. I mean, it was our last mission was actually finally catching this guy that everybody had been after. And we, again, it was one of our human guys that had recruited a source. And the thing that any source around this guy was, we had 2 sources, like the families all wiped out. And then we got another source that was close, and that, he got skittish, and him and his family fled the country. And so we finally got a guy driving for him, and we wind up, the last mission that we do was rolling this guy up. And as soon as we got back, he was, higher, pulled him away from us. So we never really got kind of the full picture of how important he was, but that was kind of cool.
Do you know, I guess looking back on it now, any idea what his deal was?
He was one of the deck of cards guys. Okay. So he had been, very kind of influential in the anti-government forces.
Yeah.
So we did that. I mean, mostly, direct action missions. For a while, we were tasked with guarding the Iraqi interim government.
Yeah.
So we had one of the vice presidents. They had 2. We had a Kurdish vice president that we were responsible for keeping alive, and like everybody, Sunni or Shia, they mostly hate Iraqis hate the Kurds for the most part. So, like a lot of people wanted him dead. So that was actually, when that happened, like all of the SEAL teams got pulled in, and we just got put on security detail. So that was interesting. I got to run the advance team for that. So it was just a whole lot of site set up, a lot of recon.
Yeah. Were any of the other direct actions that you went on, did you get into big gunfights on any of them?
We didn't. And I credit a lot of it to, we would just go a lot later than anybody else. I mean, we would hit like 2 a.m, and there was only, I mean, I couldn't count the number of times that we, went in and grabbed the dude, and he was like fumbling trying to get to his AK or his pistol under his bed. We only once we had a little breaching accident that kind of slowed up things, and then this guy who was another former regime element general that and it was one that we wouldn't have suspected. I mean, he was like a general, a really old guy, and he got alerted because a breach kind of low ordered on the door, and one of our guys got injured. But when we got in the door, he was just blasting, hit one of our corpsmen actually in the calf with it's like a bullshit Makarov round or whatever. But so he was the only guy that we killed on a raid. Yeah. Everybody else we were able to bring back with us.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it sounds like the use of the kind of heavy intel presence that you had there really paid off big dividends for kind of the traditional special operations role of gathering, collecting your own intel and acting on it, and then even doing after or follow-ons based on what you find there, and et cetera. Of all the raids that you went on, was there ever anything that you found in any of the residences or targets that was really surprising, like whether it was weird or shocking or you couldn't believe was there? Like, did anything stand out?
We had a lot of bomb makers that we were going after, especially as they were like preparing for the actual elections. There's a huge uptick in bomb makers. So I think sometimes just the massive caches of explosves.
Was most of it fertilizer type stuff, or
there's a good bit of that, and then a lot of like repurposed ordnance,
artillery and shit.
Yeah. There was what else? I mean, the one guy that we'd gone off after, his arm. We found it. He was a one-armed guy, and so we knew, and that was the only thing we knew about him. He was a one-armed bomb maker, and so by the time we get in the house, and I was on external security of this one, they're like, hey, his arm's here, but he's not, and there was like, he was in the process of building a bomb, and this was out in the farmlands. So we had, me and another guy were in a Humvee, and we had driven down a canal, and there was the target was over here. There was a big one of the water-filled like shit ditches. So, and I'm short, and so I probably wasn't the best guy, but the aircraft that we have overhead was like, hey, there's some dudes running through the field, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm the best in position to go after him. So the guy who's manning the gun is like, 6'5". He's like, hey man, want me to go? I'm like, no, I got it, because I just think it would be cool to catch this guy. So I assume that the little shit ditch is
couple feet.
No, I jump in and just I go down, and full kit, full body armor, weapon, everything, and I trying to keep my weapon up, and at this point, I can tread water a little bit better, but I'm like, trying to keep it out of my mouth, get across, and it's wider than I thought to, I'm trying to pull myself out of it, and now I'm really pissed. I'm like, I'll beat this guy to death when I catch him, but I don't. So I hit my like strobe, and the aircraft is kind of vectoring me over to him. Finally, get to this guy, and I'm like, I can't even remember it now, but I'm like, put your hands up. And I'm like, put your fucking hands up. And then like one hand goes up, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm like, hey, I got our guy. He's only got one fucking arm.
That's like some shit out of a movie. One arm bomb maker.
Yeah.
I love it.